All right. Looks like we are live. Welcome to the show. Thank y'all for joining me on another fantastic episode of Living Proof with the Love Alchemist. And we want to talk a little bit about love today. I'm always talking about other stuff, but I don't often talk about what my forte is. At least not enough, in my opinion. So today we're gonna dive into it and talk a little bit more about what I'm famous for. So do me a favor, as you come in, hit that like button, share this video, hit that like button and share this video. Give me a thumbs up if my mic sounds nice. Let me know if you can hear me or not. My wife bought me this lovely new microphone. I'm testing it out. Still kind of working out the kinks though, so got to get it fine-tuned. So y'all let me know if I'm sounding all right. And as you come in, hit that like button, share this video, hit that like button, share this video, invite a friend, and let's have a conversation. Is love a feeling or is it a decision? So as I'm asking you to share, I'm gonna do the same. See my lovely mother. How you doing, Ma? All right, let's see. Let me go ahead and okay, my man Troy says he can hear. I almost feel like I hear kind of an echo. Does it sound like an echo to you, or does it sound all right? Let me see. And I'm gonna share this video. Let me see. All right. So y'all, what say you? Is love a feeling or is it a decision? Troy says no echo. All right. Daniel says no echo. You clear. All right. Excellent. My lovely wife. What's happening, sweetheart? Y'all do me a favor. Answer the question for me, man. What do y'all think about this? Is love a feeling or is it a decision? What do you think? Is love a feeling or is it a decision? That's the $1 million question. I had a brother tell me recently that love is duty. And I hear a lot of people say that love is duty, right? Troy says it's a decision. There's my lovely wife. All right. My man Troy OG says love is a decision. All right. No argument with that. Man, I got this new iPhone. My phone and got somebody jacked me for my phone. I had to go get a new one. So I'm still kind of trying to work this stuff out. Some kids saying hello to my lovely other half. Daniel says, I think it can be both. I think you can grow to love, but also a feeling. I've experienced both. Yeah, no argument with that either. Somebody said love is duty. What do you think about that? Love is duty. It's not about how you feel. Somebody said it's not about how you feel, but it's a duty. It's an obligation to perform those duties. That's what one of the brothers told me earlier. He really didn't like some of my ideas on love, and so he thought I was a little bit maybe too over the top with it. So his idea was that maybe I was overstating it or maybe even understating it. Maybe my ideas about it, I talk about conditions and I talk about love languages and I talk a little bit about zodiac and or astrology, and I kind of get into things that aren't so popular in some circles. So let me share this out a little bit more before I share my thoughts. Let me see. I'm gonna share it there. And then we're going in just a little bit. We're gonna go on in just a little bit. Let me see. All right. Y'all bear with me. I'm still trying to work these kinks out. I'm still kind of new to this game, man. I'm trying to get my electronics down. Not as tech savvy as I would like to be, but I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I'm working on it. All right. So let's get into it. All right, that's good enough. That's enough. All right. OG says, just don't fall in love, grow in love. Yeah, man. Look, I say all the time. I think. Let me put that up here. I think falling hurts. So I don't like the idea of falling in love. I like you said, man. I like to grow in love. I say proceed deliberately and even cautiously, because falling in love, man, leaves a lot of bruises. Daniel says duty seems like it's not love, but more of a job. I concur. I concur. Said falls hurt as you get older. Yeah, man. You see the gray. I don't look, a fall at this stage of my life, boy. I don't think that would feel very good at all. So I'm of the mindset. Y'all do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that like button, share this video, invite a friend, and then we can slide right on in. Hit that like button or the love button, and invite a friend and share this video. So I'm of the mindset that love is a decision, but it's bolstered by feelings, right? So to me, it's kind of both. I think it's my wonderful mother. Hey, Ma, how you doing? I think it's a little bit of both. I think it starts with the decision, right? On who we're gonna love, because love is not just. Where's my book? I have my book out here. Love is not just about how you feel. It's also about what you're willing to do, right? So that's the decision part, and it's also about the sacrifices that we're willing to make for other people, compromises that we're willing to make with other people. How caring or thoughtful are we willing to be? It's a culmination of a lot of things that, or I guess it's the coming together of various ideas that culminate in the idea that we call love, right? So rather than just these feelings, which can be fleeting, right? Feelings, they ebb and flow, right? They up and down, they come and they go. You know, maybe my wife wakes up on the wrong side of the bed one morning, and maybe my face is a little crooked, and maybe she don't like me so much that day, right? And these are the feelings that can be fleeting. Maybe we get into an argument and she doesn't, maybe she can't stand me, for the rest of the weekend. But then Monday comes, we make up and we're doing all right. And maybe we even stronger than we were before the weekend. Troy says, love will not keep a multi-decade relationship together. No, it will not. Well, and again, now I'm gonna offer just a little bit of pushback on that, because I think if we're doing love, right, rather than just feeling love, right? If we're doing love rather than, or in addition to feeling love, then I think that makes the difference. So, and again, I'm going back to what are the sacrifices that I'm willing to make? Maybe I'm in an arena like here I am. I speak publicly. I get messages from women all the time. I can take advantage of opportunities that are offered to me by other females. My wife can take advantage of opportunities that are offered to her by other males. But that's where the sacrifice comes in. Do we forego those seemingly pleasurable opportunities in the effort to maintain the integrity of what we've established? I think that is an expression of love, because I could be selfish. Either of us could be selfish and say, I'm gonna go get it because it looks good and it looks like it might feel good. It looks like that might be fun. I can go do that, right? But is that love if I'm doing that? I think love is just as much about what you're willing to do as it is about how you feel. What say you, family? I'm gonna pause on that. What do you think about that? Let's see. Lisa Fuller says it's a word that gets tossed around too much. His first lady says sometimes it's a feeling, but all the time it's a decision. Augusta says it can be either or, but best love but the best love is a decision. And Daryl says, I believe it begins with an innate emotion. And then when you feel protected and that emotion is reciprocated, it becomes a good feeling. Then when a person believes this person is worth, safe, duty, deserving of love, and it becomes a decision to commit to that love. That's a lot. My man Daryl is also a relationship guru. Very thoughtful. Troy says, you are describing discipline and choices. Okay. I think, but now let me ask you this, Troy. Do you think that the decision to discipline ourselves, well, I'm going to use your word, the choice to discipline ourselves is also an expression based on love or based on, he said, send the link. Send what link, brother? What link? The choice to discipline ourselves and not, bite the apple, so to speak. Is that love? And then conversely, let me ask this. If I choose not to discipline myself, is that an expression? Oh, you want to join me on screen? My man, all right. Let me see. Now, this is the new part. Let me see. Invite. Let me see. Copy to the clipboard. I'm going to send you the link right now, OG. Let me see. I'm going to send you the link right now, good brother. And my computer want to run slow. Why are you playing games with me? Don't want to come up. Dang it. Why are you not coming up? Send in message. Okay, that's the pad. All right, here we go. There we go. Come on, man. OG in the building. There you go, G. I sent it to you. All right. Uh-oh. Let's get that out of there. All right. Okay. Back into it. Discipline and choices. Yeah. I do think that's a part of it, but I think, you know what I think too, man? A lot of people underestimate the power of feelings. Right? There's this book that I read, and I recommend this book to a lot of my clients. It's called Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. Powerful book. And one of the ideas that, and this is a book, this is a decision, a thought that comes from outside of the book, but people underestimate just how much feelings anchor us into a thing. Whatever that thing is, it could be a relationship, marriage, it could be religion, it could be a job, but when you talk about marriage or love or relationships, your feelings are often, feelings are often the fuel for what it takes to persevere through, those tough times, because every relationship is going to come upon some very difficult times, some challenges, right? We all go through. And it's tough enough to just be one as an individual, but to coexist with somebody else harmoniously, peacefully, you better have something else anchoring you to that relationship other than or in addition to those strong feelings. So, but I do think feelings are very important because, like I said, I think they're the fuel for what it takes to persevere when things aren't going so great. OG, did you get that link? What y'all think about what I'm saying? What you think about what I'm saying? Am I making sense? So I think a lot of times, we hear these things about men being logical and women being emotional, but I think that honestly, I think that we're both. I think men and women are a bit of both. Okay, here we go. My man, he said, yeah, I'm setting it up. I think men and women are a bit of both. I think that men are can be just as emotional, if not more emotional in many instances, than women. And I also think that women are capable of expressing great logic, and in some cases even greater logic than a lot of men. Look, Mae Jemison, first Black female astronaut. That that's a very lot. That requires a very heavy dose of logic to perform on that high of a level, to be an astronaut, right? It's rocket science, right? But also what's required to persevere through what it takes to become an astronaut. That's not just logic, that's also emotion. Something is driving you toward accomplishing that goal of becoming an astronaut or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever these professions are that require such high levels of dedication. So when we talk about marriage, like me and my wife have been together 33 years, right? And to arrive at this place of 33 years, and for us to be where we are, like the feeling is good, the vibe is good, we get along real good. But we've been through some mud, family. We've been through some mud. And so in order to get through that mud, in order to come out on the other side of that mud, looking the way we look, that's not always just a logical decision to press forward. There's some emotion fueling that person, that journey, that push. So, there are times, and then also having a family, having children, like, okay, I'm going to make a decision to remain committed to the family because I don't want my children to grow up in a broken family. So that's a decision. But even that decision is anchored in strong feelings about what a complete family looks like, right? Here's my man OG. Decision is anchored in strong feelings about
what
a complete family.
How's it going, man? I see you.
Yeah.
I see you with the
production,
man. Oh, I'm good. I right when I said I wanted to get on, I reset my system up. I'm gonna put this light over here, and
okay.
Had to get a plug on. So
you sound low, man. That's me.
Hold on a second. That might be me. Hold on a second. That better? Yep, 3, 2, 1.
Yep, that's better.
Yeah, I had to unplug some stuff.
Devices?
No, I closed off the other device, so you sound good to me. Ask the people how you sound to me.
Mic check. Yeah, there's an echo there. Man, Daniel said that too.
Okay, so this is what you do. Go to settings, audio, and take echo cancellation off.
Oh man, how do I do that? Go to
settings.
Audio, echo cancellation. All right, let me see. Let me get rid of that.
Hold on a second. Now I'm gonna do it.
That's worse.
Hold on a second.
That might be, maybe you need to do the echo cancellation.
That's what I just did.
There it is. It's gone. All right, cool. All right, cool. So what do you say, brother? What do you say?
Man, this normally I want to sit back and listen, man, but I wanted to come on here and talk about this because, we talk about love and we talking about falling in love. And we talking about feelings that we have that change over time based on our situation. And one of the reasons I like listening to you is because you're one of the few people who, in my opinion, you mirror my experience of being married over multiple decades, married very young, and had kids, ups, downs. I don't have grandkids, but you have grandkids. And most people that I meet who've gotten to this point have been through 1 or 2 divorces. And their marriages may be great, but they got 2 or 3 times to do it, And, so I like to tell people I'm on my 4th marriage to the same woman, meaning that, we met, having a good time, doing our thing, fell in love, said we're going to spend the rest of our life together, not knowing what life entailed, not having any examples of what a good marriage looked like. So we said, we know what a bad marriage looked like. So let's do something different than that. And, try to model that. So the first marriage was just me and her, we enjoying ourselves. Then, the second marriage would be, once you have your kids and now, you're focusing on your kids and your career. Third marriage is like when they get up into high school and they're not really dependent on you. And this marriage now, the 4th marriage, when they're gone. empty nesting, had to relearn each other, didn't have nothing to do, nowhere to run to. This kid didn't have to go to ballet. This kid didn't have to go to basketball. Like, who are we to each other again now that these people have left and we don't have any grandchildren to pour into, right? And what we have been discovering is our needs and wants and desires and feelings have changed. And a lot of times they don't change in the same rate, in the same place, in the same time. And another challenge before I let you take back over is what I discovered as we, got into year 25, 26, 27, 28 is that we are, my wife's 5 years older than me and makes her a baby boomer. And her social norms are a lot different. She grew up in the military overseas around, I grew up around my people in the hood, and I'm a Gen X raised by myself. Mom and dad was always at work. And so we had different outlooks of life just based on the time we were born into and trying to pull those things together. So I know I said a lot, but yeah, man, the love thing for me, I stopped telling my wife I love her because she was telling me the same thing. And we said it so much, it lost its power. It was on repeat. So I tell her, I honor you. And she tells me, I respect you. Because those are the two things that, my wife is like, listen, don't bring any dishonor home. And that's my thing. I'm not going to bring dishonor among my family. And so when we were talking about earlier, when I wanted to get on the discipline and the choice, I had to make a mind shift early on and say, I can't cheat on my wife. I can only cheat on myself. I only cheat on what I said I was going to do because I can't control a person. She can't control me. I can't control her. And so when I'm looking at these things that are being offered or they're available that I can go pursue, I'm saying, am I willing to cheat on myself?
That's right.
And in the promise that I made to her. And that's what I think has helped me see, because, as a man, I could do something that seems okay to me that to her is a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? Something as simple. My wife is out of town right now. It's very predictable. My wife goes out of town, the house is going to get a little messier than it normally would.
Right.
But before she comes back, I'm going to shut everything down and I'm going to have every dish out the sink because she's from that generation. If there's a fork in there, it's a problem. I'm going to have fresh flowers in the house, and the house is going to be clean. And that's my expression of love to her because I know that's what's important to her. My wife has written 2 books on cleanliness and how to clean up. And, that's part of her value system. For me, hey, look, I can sleep in an unmade bed.
Yeah.
If that bed is unmade, my wife cannot sleep in an unmade bed. She can't cook in a dirty kitchen. I could cook in a dirty kitchen. And so a lot of it is me learning what makes her happy and presenting that in a way that it is an honor to her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she does the same thing for me in a different way. But as we were in our early part of our marriage, we were doing things that were important to us for the other person. Didn't understand, my love language is words of encouragement and physical touch, and hers is acts of service. You know what I'm saying? And quality time, right? And so what I figured out is like quality time. I've been married or a father since I was 19. Mm-hmm. So I love alone time, right? And so sometimes I just want to be by myself. And for her, quality time is sitting alone, just sitting out on our back porch, doing nothing. Yeah. So it's just learning what the other person needs or thrives on and trying to present that. And that's why I'm saying that it takes more than love. It's honor, respect, and consideration. That's my big word. That's been my big word. And we'll talk about that later. But it's being considerate.
Yep. I agree. And, also, I think sometimes we get in our own way, just kind of piggybacking on what you were saying, that whole love language thing, oftentimes we want to love people in a way that feels good to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love chocolate, so I'm going to buy her some chocolate because, what better way to show her that I love her. But if she don't like chocolate, then, she might think the gesture was cute, but it doesn't quite have the same impact that it would if I would have bought her something that she actually likes.
Yeah. It's funny because I bought some things that I liked and as a gift and gave it to her. And she was looking at me like, who is this for?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And
Look,
yeah.
here's a question that Fuzz Lights put up. She said, "Is there a difference between loving someone and being in love with someone?" What do you think about that?
Man, I hear that a lot. And I don't know. I don't know. But I do know sometimes if you love someone, the best thing might be to be apart. And people don't really want to talk about that part. You know what I'm saying? You may have an issue or problem that's bringing the family down. Like I grew up in the crack era where, people didn't make it. They loved each other, but they had to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Daniel Jones, I'm down. I'm always down. So I don't know. Man. I don't know. I hear that like I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And I think it has to be a thing because I hear it a lot and I see it and I get it when I hear it. Yeah. I just one of my favorite Eric Roberson songs talks about not falling out of love at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you can go through seasons that, like you said, like you wake up on the wrong side of the bed or what have you, where we're not just clicking anymore. And then what do you do in those times? You know what I'm saying?
That's when it's tough.
Yeah. And people don't, a lot of times I think we do as married men and married women who, when we go to a church or we go to somewhere in our community and they'll say, Vaughn and Sunkiss been married 31 years. And everybody stand up and clap and you'll be like, yeah. Or they'll tell me, hey, OG and his wife been married 28 years. And, everybody will clap for us. But I'll be telling them, hey, man, it's like entrepreneurship. If I told you everything, you wouldn't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to get in it when you're young and naive and you're full of hope and possibility, because at this stage of the game, 50 plus, it's not easy it's a lot more challenging to get. Yeah.
Well, I think, the number one group of people getting divorced right now are over 50. It's called silver divorce or gray divorce. And the reason is that we want what our grandma and them had, but grandma didn't have options. You know what I'm saying? And Paul, he worked, and the roles were clear. The family sizes were bigger when mama was at home, and it worked. And I'm not saying we need to go back to those days because I have two daughters who are doing wonderful. And I have a son who is not going to find his mother. You know what I'm saying? He's out here looking for his mom and values, but my wife is fine as hell. She still wears a slip. You know what I'm saying? So she got a different value system. But what was I saying is that people over 50 are getting divorced because there's no need. We don't need each other per se. And we've done everything we set out to do, career-wise, children-wise, and then people might have two different visions, and then they drift apart, right? And they have the resources to do that. Mama has her job and her money. Dad got his job and his money, and it's not a dependency. And in every other situation, to me, need is higher than want. We always talk about getting what we need and some of what we want. But in a relationship at this level, in my opinion, now I'm asking you, Love Alchemist, I don't need my wife. I want her, right? And I feel like that's a higher thing because everything that I need done on a daily basis, I could do by myself. Right. And then I hear a lot of people say, well, you need to stay together right now because when you get old and sick, because I'll be in 10 years, I'll be 64, And I'm like, man, you want to do 50 years of suffering to get 10 years or maybe 5 years of someone taking care of you later on? Like we got to have a different equation for this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Let me go back to the question.
Yeah, says it. Who wants to grow old alone, right? But what is old now? What is old now, right? And so I'm 54, right? My wife is 59, and we're relatively healthy compared to the 55-year-old of our ancestors, right? And the funny thing is that a lot of people are, and I don't want to say wasting, a lot of people are planning their lives in their 30s and their 40s and maybe their 50s to have somebody at 75.
Right.
And I'm saying, hey, we got to work good in every season, or we should be able to work good in every season that we're in, even this new one. And the bonus is we grow old together. We start taking each other to doctor's appointments and stuff.
Right. Wearing each other's reading glasses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I'm sure. How old are you, Vaughn?
I just turned 50 last week.
Okay, so at 50, just think back to your grandfather. Your grandfather's 50. They wore their body down with physical labor.
That's right.
Right. And so that's when they started really, like, there's a dude, man, who walks by my house. He's 55. He went blind last year. And every time I see him, he asks me, can he work to get some money? Because his value, his life value is on what he did, what he does, his labor. And black labor right now is overrated. There's no need for a 55-year-old man who all he can do is push a lawnmower, but now he can't see. So he's lost value. So if he's not married and he wasn't married to the wife of his youth, he's going to be alone the rest of his life because he doesn't have a lot to offer unless he got grown daughters. I don't know his whole situation, but he asked me to pick up trash, a blind man who walks 2 blocks with no stick. And I told him, hey, man, I'm going to give you this $6. He asked me for $6. He's like, no, man, I want to earn it, man. I was like, look, man, I'm giving it. This is my humanity. You, my neighbor. You in need. Let's do it. But society sees him or sees black men, a lot of us, for what we can provide. And people will fall in love with people who provide for them and provide security. But what about me? Right? Not me. But what about the 55-year-old man? What about the 65 or the 75-year-old man? Right. And you better have had a wife that you guys have been through a lot. So I think that's a dated message about growing old, because, you know, in those kind of marriages, it was a roller coaster, man. And brothers be having, 2 and 3 families. And, by the time he slowed down at 50, their mama is, like, okay, he finally done slowed down. And now she cussing out Earl in the back. Shut up, Earl. I don't want that.
Look, I'm gonna answer this question that Fuzz Lights asked earlier about the difference. Let me see. Let me find it. She asked, "Is there a difference between loving someone and being in love with someone?" I say yes, and I'll give a quick short story about my own scenario where. Let me say it this way: I think you can love someone and still do for them, take care of them, doing acts that are normally associated with love, while still not even liking that person, much less being in love with them, right? So when we had been married, I think maybe 4 years or so, I was still a young hothead, young knucklehead, and my wife disliked me so much that to see my car pull up in the driveway made her stomach hurt.
Yeah.
Right. And now what I love about my wife is that she's so G with it, man. She don't sugarcoat nothing, and she wear a heart on her sleeve. Right. So if it whatever it is, she gonna tell me what it is, and short of just coming out and saying, I can't stand your blah, blah, blah. She just said, man, I'm not feeling it no more. She told me, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. So she's still doing the things for me that a wife does.
Right.
I'm always coming home to a home cooked meal, but there's no warmth. You know what I mean? Those feelings of, I'm happy to see you. And then look, I'm in the Navy. I was in the Navy at the time, the United States Navy. And so she would be glad when my ship would leave for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. She was like, hey, oh man, but so we had to grow past that. Now, hell, even if I'm just going to work for a day, if I even mention the idea of staying home for the day, she's like, hell, call him, tell him you ain't coming. Right. She looks forward to me staying home now. So
shout out to Sunkiss.
Yeah, shout out to Sunkiss, man. My wife, I say it all the time jokingly, but my wife is a soldier.
Look, man, I grew up in the Navy. I don't know if I told you that. I was born in Guam. I was born in Guam, grew up on Long Beach Naval Shipyard, Seal Beach weapons facility, naval weapons facility. And one of the reasons I got out of the military, because I'd never seen a successful military marriage. That's number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, a lot of naval marriages end because being at home is an interruption. Like the wife and the kids, they have a whole steady routine. You've been gone 6 months, then you come home and it's disruptive. And when seasons change, they don't know how to deal with the person who just came home, right? Yeah. And I watch it happen in the Navy, military, And it happens with a lot of the pro athletes I work with because they're on a regimented schedule for 6 to 9 months a year. Right. And when they come home in the off season, it's like the family a lot of times can't wait for the season to start again. Right. But these pro athletes, a lot of times they don't quit on their own terms. They are let go of. And so now you got that depression that sets in of not being able to provide the level you were providing at, and you home and you being very disruptive to the family.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then it don't work. So the fact that you guys did the work and worked through it, and she was cool enough to tell you that she didn't like you, because right now in this generation, I like to talk about not so much us, but the people under us, but us too. This is the first generation where a wife has actually had to like a husband.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, someone like Sunkist is entitled to half your retirement because she served more than 10 years. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, when my grandparents got divorced, the only reason my grandfather knew my grandmother had passed away is because he got the rest of his check back. You know what I'm saying? And they had been divorced like 20 years and not in touch with each other. Then he went from a 50% retirement check to 100%. And that's when he called and said, hey, you know, your grandma passed. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. And so she didn't have to like him because the check came. You know what I'm saying? But now with the way society is set up, a woman does not need you to survive. And so love that's cool. But what's like? Do you like being around each other? Do you know, or do you just be like, man, when he come home, I'm gonna act sleep, you know, you know, I got a headache tonight, you know,
back hurt, all that
back hurt, you know, the kids this, and we start involving ourselves in things to keep us busy. But when that nest empty out, you know, and but two of y'all in that house, that's gonna tell you, man.
Yep.
You better like each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
You better like each other.
Our nest just we had our first empty nest. Our first run at the empty nest was, I think, in 2000. Correct me if I'm wrong, Desi. Was 2014?
Yeah.
Somewhere. No. 2011 or so. And so we had a good little run. It lasted about a year and a half. Then the grandbabies came, and then one of my daughters moved back in 2015. Mm-hmm. Okay, 2015. And we had about a year or so run at it. We had a blast, man. And then I had this bright idea. You know, I got all three of us, me and my two daughters and their husbands and their children. We're all living in the same city.
Yeah.
And everybody's renting. And I'm like, man, we're spending a lot of money. You know, how about I buy a house? I'll get it big enough where everybody can have their own space. And that'll give y'all time to get your credit right, get your money up, and then y'all can really launch and do good things.
Right? Move. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I did that. And they just moved out a year and a half ago now. And we couldn't wait for their ass to leave, right?
Yeah, but you still miss them. They close though, right?
We love them to life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they still close, and the grandbabies still come over, you know, several times a week because my wife babysits.
Yeah.
But boy, I'm gonna tell you, to get our house back, you know, and I could walk around with my boxers on again, like, you know, and so we really, and I think now in year 33. 31 married, 33 total. My wife and I are closer now than we were on the day we got married.
Man, that's beautiful. And that's what in my opinion, when you go through those different seasons, you know, just for me, I'll talk about the seasons that we go through, is to know that we've had seasons that were just incredible. And you're like, man, we can get back to that in our current, you know, situation, you know, that'd be great. Because a lot of times, like my wife right now, she just got her doctorate. She's on that. Let's get a rocking chair. Let's slow down. Right. I'm on the other hand. Hey man, the kids ain't here. Everybody out of our pocket. I'm on the run. Like, let's run. Let's run really fast. You know what I'm saying? Let's go hard. We just came back from Vegas for a week. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, after about that.
Shout out to your wife.
Oh man. Look, man, I am so proud of her because let me tell you about Tamara Knowles. People look at me because I'm all up in the videos, like, you know, I'm the talent. My wife is the transmission and the engine of this family. And so she once we had to make a decision about the kids' education, she ended up homeschooling. And then she started a nonprofit for young women. She ran that for 10 years, young girls. And then I looked at her when our son was a junior in high school. I said, hey, look, your husband crazy, your kids on their way out. You need your own identity. She became a realtor. And in the last 6-7 years, she's become one of the top realtors in her section of the city, downtown Dallas, got her doctorate. And she's proof that you can have it all, just maybe not at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And everybody wants it all early. But like the things that I'm doing now at 54, I probably wanted to do it 34, 35, but I had a whole family, and so now I'm able to do the things that I want to do. She's able to do the things that she wants to do. But when we come together, a lot of times we're running at two different speeds. And so I've learned to appreciate, like when we went to Vegas, one of the things we did that was dope was we went to the hot springs, which is an hour and 10 minutes out of Vegas. And when I say hot springs, it's an oasis. And the water come out the ground at 105 degrees. And that's something that I wouldn't have done when we had kids and when we were, doing the rat race. We went to a date farm, these date trees in the middle of the desert, and then start doing things that make you slow down and disconnect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love the way that sounds too, man. First of all, I love dates. Yeah, I'm getting a little off topic, but I put them in my smoothie every day. And I was looking at how to get a date tree put in my yard, and it's a lot more work than I think I want to deal with. Man,
look, so you'll be impressed when you get off this call. Look up China Beach Date Farm, and so basically in Death Valley, the hottest place in the planet, this China man came over and he found a little hustle to plant dates to serve the miners. And when you're going here, man, you're in the desert and you turn that corner, man, you see like thousands of palm trees, man, with dates on them. We went out there. I love dates too. Whoever don't like dates, just try some, man. They're better. They're a good sweet. They're a good substitute for sugar in your smoothies and your drinks and things of that nature.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Every single day. And they got a couple different kinds of dates. I don't know how many different kinds, but I believe they have several. But the two that I see are the smaller ones, the deglet dates. And the seed is already taken out. And then they have the big plump ones, the medjool dates.
That's one I like.
Oh, man. Those things taste like caramel, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I take the seed out and I put a walnut inside it. And oh, man.
That's dessert, player.
Something the Lord made, man.
Look, man. Look, and then I'll take you one more step. When you make your smoothie, instead of using ice, freeze 2 bananas and use banana for ice. Yeah.
Okay. All right, I use bananas anyway, but
freeze them.
Yeah.
And now you don't have, because when you put the water in there, you put the ice in there, you water that smoothie down. Man, you put that banana in there, and you got dates and bananas, some peanut butter. Oh my God!
You see, you lost me at peanut butter, but
everybody like peanut butter. I think peanut butter is good. It should be in the Bible. It's so good.
Yeah, we don't want to talk smoothie recipes. You said it should be. Man, look, if there's anything, I don't know if there's anything on this planet that I hate more than peanut butter.
Really? So I'm gonna ask you. Let's say spam.
And then no, don't do spam. I wasn't even part of growing up, so no part of me.
I didn't
used to, but not anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So those are things like. So I'm gonna tell you. Look,
I would eat all of those things before I ate peanut butter, though. I would eat chitlins before I ate peanut butter.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not. Yeah. No. I'm gonna tell you though. Between, like you said, dates. How about Brussels sprouts? Do you like Brussels sprouts?
Love Brussels sprouts.
Did you love them as a kid though?
No, not at all.
Because they were whack as kids, but they made some kind of comeback to where Brussels sprouts grew up. That and asparagus. Maybe we were eating them out of a can. Now I think we were eating them out of a can when we were kids, and now yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
They sucked as kids, man. Now they're like, man.
I don't even remember being introduced to Brussels sprouts when I was a kid. It was green beans, it was collard greens, peas, different things like. I don't remember seeing Brussels sprouts on my plate at all, or even asparagus, prior to getting married to my wife. And now, we eat asparagus and Brussels sprouts on the regular.
Well, let me ask you a question when we talk about love. I love my wife. She loved me. We've been together our whole adult life. So would you recommend starting out like we did, where you meet the wife of your youth and you roll, or would you recommend a person becoming who they are, specifically a man, having his education in place, his credit right, his career on the path, and then, finding a wife.
Now, see, that's a double-edged sword because, or not even a double-edged sword, but I will say this: I would not trade the way I did it for anything in the world.
But we know, and before you go, we wouldn't trade. I wouldn't trade. I'm not saying trade, but I'm saying.
I get you. Here's what I say to that. I say that we don't encourage our youth to move with urgency as it pertains to finding someone that they align with, right?
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to get married at 16 or 18 or 20 just because you found that person. But I think that when you make a connection, a meaningful connection with somebody who is 10 toes down, that really got your back, you don't play catch and release with keepers. Right? Yeah. So because this world doesn't have an abundance of keepers. And I think most people are a complete waste of time. Most relationships that young men and young women enter, you learn, you grow. But as far as far as a meaningful connection, we're making a lot of meaningful connections and getting a lot of ties with people that we probably never should have been with. So in that context, I'm saying if you are fortunate enough to find somebody even at age 16, if your first love is a real love, don't just throw that away just because you're too young or just because there's plenty of fish in the sea or some other nonsensical cliche that they got going around. If it's meaningful, man, I say ride that thing out because you got a lot of cats that finally got that bag, they're 40, they're 50, and they can't find nobody, man.
Right. And vice versa. And so 2 quick things. Fuzz Light, I'm just going to give a shameless plug. She said Lessons by Eric Roberson. And I got to tell you that Eric Roberson is one of my best personal friends. I started off as someone who worked for him, and then we became friends. And I can't be more excited for the success he's having with that song Lessons. And just watching his family grow. He talks to me a lot about fatherhood because he didn't have kids when we met. And he was the first artist that I heard when I was a fan that talked about love and women where it wasn't so much bravado and machismo. And it felt like it was real love. And I know his wife, Sean, and they really love each other. And I'll share this information that he shared with me, so it's not private. But he has a song called Couldn't Hear Me Over the Music. Right. So anybody who's an Eric Roberson fan, go look up that song, Couldn't Hear Me Over the Music. And a lot of times what he was saying in his early life is that the person he wanted to be and he was singing about in the booth, he was striving to be that person. So when a person was attracted to him for all of what he could sing and what he could do, and then when they got close, they seen all the flaws. Right. Because, my wife knows me better than I know my mother knows me. I've been with her my whole life. And so she knows my flaws. And, sometimes I have to remind her that she don't have to point them all out. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. But when you talk about that young love, man, I almost want to recommend that first love be the one that you stay with. But the problem is today, it's the fear of missing out. Like, when I met my wife, she was the finest thing I could see within 30 miles of the city that I lived in. I didn't have Instagram to check what was going on in Atlanta. I'm sure there were a whole bunch of things going on in Atlanta that a young man could get. 2 of my children are married to their high school sweetheart, and I'm so happy for them. Yeah, Shakira, let me tell you what so fully 90% of relationships that start prior to 30 end. And so you're looking at 2 men who are in the top 10%. And so I'm very careful about giving information from the 10% and saying, how do you do it? And so I remember each first love, real love of all 3 of my kids. And I remember each first heartbreak for all 3 of my kids. You know what I'm saying? And
I cried with my daughter with her friend. Man, that hurt me so bad. I'm super I couldn't do nothing.
There was nothing we could do. There was nothing we could do but just be there and be the person who would never let them down. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when my youngest daughter was going through it, and you know, I had to tell her, you're not going to find Troy out there in this capacity, because this is, I don't want to say my job, but this is what I do. I am a family man. I'm a father. I'm a husband. That's who I identify as. And every step that I take includes being that person, no matter what you see. And so you can't expect that from a boy that you dating or a young man. So one time, tell a quick story. She was in Austin visiting him, three hours from here. Her car broke down. She had to be back to work in 6 hours. Well, you know, he didn't know what to do. I sent her a ticket to fly home, and I jumped on a bus, took her car to a shop, got it fixed, and had that car back home by the time she got back from work. And he felt a little bad about it. So did she. And she said, well, Dad, at least he could stitch me up if I failed, because he was a registered nurse. I couldn't stitch her up. But I was like, listen, what I did was not a competition. I'm not out here to prove anything. It's just that, you know, they know if they call me, I'm springing into action. I remember one time, and I'm sure Sunkist will appreciate this, hopefully. My wife was mad at me for something. I don't know. I stayed in the doghouse in years like 10 through 15. I don't know what it was. And I know what it was. I chose a career that had me out late at night a lot. Video producer. I was doing a lot of production in clubs. I don't do production in clubs no more. She wasn't speaking to me. I forgot what it was. And she had a flat. And she texted me and told me she had a flat in the part of town, wherever she was. And I went, fixed that flat, tapped the car on the back. She pulled off. I got in the car and I left too. Right. So I took all the emotion out of it. She knew, even though she was mad at me, I was going to do my husband thing. You know what I'm saying? The time she was mad at me, dinner still appeared on the plate. All her duties, whatever her duties were there. And so we have these fights, these quiet fights where we have to play fair. It's like the Geneva Convention. If you don't know what the Geneva Convention is, it's the prisoner of war. You got to feed your prisoners. You got to do these things. And then other than that, after the war, it's a war crime. They come to get you. That's what happened in Germany. Right. That's right. And so you see these American troops doing things like they peed on a guy, and he went to jail for peeing on a prisoner of war because it was against the rules. Now you can kill somebody. So I said all that to say we have these little tussles, but we don't come outside of who we are. So if she's not speaking to me, that don't mean I just go hang out and drinking with my buddies or doing something that's outside of who I am or who I profess to be, or that I know will lead me down a road. You know, a lot of times the preachers be talking about they were delivered from drinking and smoking and clubbing and womenizing. And I don't identify with that because I did none of that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I did none of that. So that ain't my testimony, right? But what I will do is I will shut down. You know what I'm saying? And I will go sit in the bookstore for 8 hours, or I will just do things that are not healthy for something that a person you're supposed to be communicating with. I said all that to say is that when you talk about love, you know, love is, you so emotional. I fall in love, and, you know, flowers and blah, blah, blah. But if you ain't speaking to me, love ain't going to send me out there to change your tire. But the honor, like Shakira said, the honor and respect will have me out there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So you don't think that, see, because I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because I think that
I expected you to.
Yeah, I think that just because you might be pissed at each other doesn't mean that you don't still want the best for that person, or the flip side, that you all of a sudden now you want something, or that you don't care if something bad happens to that person.
Oh, right? No. We on point. We on point. But you got to be talking to someone. Like, say if you call you ain't talked to your homie in a month, and then you have a flat, you ain't calling him. You know what I'm saying? Right. Your brother, shoot, your uncle. I'm saying that even in her, whatever she was mad about, she knew she was in danger, and she knew who to call, right? And I wasn't gonna say, "Oh, now you're speaking." You know what I'm saying? Now you're speaking, because you can't get out there and change that tire on the freeway. You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying love. I'm saying I think that part of what brought you out there, maybe even in addition to the respect and honor, and you use the words respect and honor rather than love. And so maybe we're playing semantics Maybe they're
You know
interchangeable.
what, Vaughn? It could be, right? Like I said, the reason why I don't traffic in the love part as much
Yeah, I feel you.
is because when you use something that becomes so common, it loses its power. And so if I say it, like if I call my wife a bitch, I would be wrong. And she would know that it's something other than whatever it was, right? Because that's not a word that comes out my mouth, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, and I'm almost ashamed to say this, but I'm assuming your whole audiences look like me, or most of them, and I don't care what other people think. But I use the N word religiously.
All right.
Religiously, I use it as a verb, a predicate, and I could put the emphasis on one part of it, and people know what I'm talking about. And I can say it like I'm celebrating. I can say it like that's crazy, and people in my space understand the inflection.
Right.
But if someone else says it who don't look like me, it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's a problem. And so we got to stop saying words don't have power, because they do, right? And so I'm not against love. I don't want to sound like I am, but when I want to express how I feel about the person I've been with for the last 31 years, for me, the word that I use every day for my kids, or I love this song. Oh, man, I love cold dates. I'm using it so many other places that doesn't have the same impact for me when I use it for my wife.
And I think resonance is important, right? So whatever whatever resonates with you is really important. So if you replace the word love with honor, if that's what resonates with you, I say rock with that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong, especially if your wife receives it the way that you intended for her to receive it. If whatever works. So 33 years in the game, when I tell my wife I love her, she still smiles like
she gets to get it. She gets the sun kissed. She starts
still get
sun kissed.
Yeah, she still get girly and giggly and all of that. So and I feel good saying it. So right now it still works for us. But maybe I don't know. At some stage of the game, I might flip it. Who knows? I mean, but right now it works, and we say it. We say it a lot.
Hey, look, one of the young ladies said his first lady, their favorite mom. That's a Facebook name, but that'd be a trip if that was somebody's really name. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised you got to that one. Start from the bottom so you know the value of the union, right? And I think that's incredible. But I've also seen a lot of this happen. Okay, we start from the bottom. Yeah, I'm the football player. I'm the captain of the football team. She the cheerleader, the head cheerleader. We got it going on, right? Then we go off to college, right? And our parents, they ain't into our relationship like that. So they send me to, Jackson State. They send her to Florida State. They trying to keep us apart, right? And then the Qs and the alphas and the kappas come out there with no shirt on, and they, all body oiled up. And I'm over here in another school with the AKAs, the Deltas, and we got all these distractions in 200, 300, 400 miles away. And we start having these interruptions in our relationships because we're young and, I'm hormones are moving. It's a lot to survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a lot. If you can make it through, it's great. And then especially if you get a job or you get you're better in school and then you get into this program that puts you, and you're going to go into this track and now you're on this big track and the other person is really not on that same track. Because notice doctors marry doctors, lawyers marry lawyers, accountants marry accountants, right? And so if I had to answer the question for my kids or my people, I'd say try to meet like my buddy sent his daughter to college to get her MRS degree. Like try to meet the person who you're going to spend the rest of your life with at the highest level of education that you plan on getting. For us, it was the military. I met my wife. You met your wife before the military. I met my wife where I was stationed in Florida. Her dad was military. She wasn't.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. And I'll even add to that, and I'll say that anytime I think we should spend less time in meaningless relationships.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of flings. People have a lot of flings, and I don't know, man. I think because sex is so sensationalized, right? We are hypersexual society, and it's just fun. We do what's fun. We do what feels good, and what feels better than sex, especially new sex, right? Well, if it's done right. But so I think that it's easy for people to go on to the next thing. But again, I go back to that. Experts have concluded that as much as 95% of our overall happiness can be attributed to how well we're doing in our intimate relationships. And if that's even almost true,
right?
Even
half true.
I mean, that speaks volumes to how much energy we should invest in making those meaningful connections. So I don't know. I get.
I'm gonna send you a video because I know how you think, and it's a video that talks about what changed the game. And I'm not gonna tell you what changed the game because I want you to see it. But I will say this: when I met my wife, the other women in her circle held her accountable for being chaste as long as was possible. Like, don't sleep with this. I know that boy, because I was DJing with my shirt off, Vaughn. I know that boy look good, you know what I'm saying? But he military girl. You know how the military cats is. They here 1 minute, they got babies all over the globe. You better stay away from him. Stay away from him. That guy with the pretty eyes. No.
I seen it.
And I already had a child. So I was what I was about, right? And so if people were lined up to tell her, nah, you better be careful. Guard your heart, guard your draws, make sure he gonna be around. Well, now the women are the aggressor. The antelope is chasing the lion. That's right. And it's, I talk to my son all the time. My son's a good looking 23-year-old man, and 30-year-old women be offering groceries and hey, you come stay with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's how does a young man keep his way pure? In my day, I thought it was a different answer, which was, focus on yourself, do your thing, find a good woman. And, to get to the next level of life, I was expected to get married. And that's what I did. Well, now how does a young man keep his way pure? It's like, man, you almost got to be awkward. You almost got to be a nerd and ugly and 5'4" and knock-kneed. Otherwise, man, they're going to put that thing on you.
Yeah, it's tough. It's
tough, man. It's
a different this, though, for those who get it right? Because life can be hard, man. Life is tough. And but I think, I don't know if you ever played video games, but back in the day, we were always trying to find out how we could cheat the game, cheat code.
Cheat code.
And I think if there's a cheat code to life, it's finding somebody who you can be harmonious with.
Absolutely.
And I think the earlier stage that you're able to do that, especially if both of y'all are serious and focused, if you're both serious and focused, that's the cheat code, man. And I don't think.
Yes, man. I'm gonna do the Vaughn thing. I'm gonna push back on you.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna push back. That's my Vaughn. I'm gonna push back. That's my way of saying I agree, but I'm gonna introduce a little bit more information. The most successful marriages that I know of, strangely enough, are people who are same-sex couples, and probably because they have a lot of things they deal with, which is weird, right? But once they decide to get married, they got to fight to get married, right? And once they do it, they, pretty good. But my homies, I learned the most information about marriage, about staying married from my divorced friends. And they always tell me, man, stay with your first wife. She know you better than anything. But they find their most success in marriage on that second and that third marriage.
Okay.
But the second one is normally a rebound because they used to being married. That third one, they know what they will do, what they won't do. They know themselves at a intimate level. And like one guy I'm thinking about, I ain't gonna say his name. His wife had a bad husband. So when she seen him, who wanted to be a husband, she knew, oh, this is what a good husband looks like. Mm-hmm. And they've been married 6 or 7 years, and they both are really enjoying. She had 2 little kids. His kids was grown. And he stepped in, and man, they are a wonderful couple because they had all their failures. But they all say, man, you should have stayed with their first wife, though.
Yeah, statistically, the chances of getting divorced increase as you go to your second and third marriage, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, though, I think so much of it comes down to what fuels us, right? And that's what the emotion, that's where the feelings come in. Is love a decision or is love a feeling? And I'm thinking, when I was growing up without my father.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we talked about this before. I'll repeat for the people who haven't heard it. There was nothing more painful in my life than growing up without my father, right? And just to re-quote that Jay-Z lyric, now my mama couldn't reach me, and the teachers couldn't reach me, and my mama couldn't beat me hard enough to match the pain of my pops not seeing me, right?
Yep.
And I'm a walking manifestation of that verse, right? That lyric. And so when my wife got pregnant when I was 16, and I knew instantly, once she told me she was pregnant, boom, it clicked in my mind, that's my wife. Because I refused to allow my child to feel what I felt with my father not being there. Now that's the decision, but that decision to marry her was fueled by the pain that I felt by not having my father. So it's also emotion, right? So, and that's also what pushed me to, what drove me to push beyond those hard times. And if I want to keep it a stack, I mean, my wife never really gave me a real hard time except for, in the resistance to my foolishness, right? So she watched you grow up, right? Yeah.
And a lot of times the people who remember that you peed in the bed, a lot of times you got to get away from the people. I'm not saying get away from your wife, but you know what I'm saying? And so, but I ask you this, I grew up with my father, right? Yeah. But my father was born in 39 or something like that. He's 80, whatever, 80 years old, 40. He's born in 41. So he'd be 81 this year.
Wow. Congrats.
I did everything in my power not to be like my father because my father was socially disconnected. I mean, disconnected from me emotionally. I'm sorry, not socially, emotionally disconnected. Right.
Gotcha.
And so I couldn't stand my father growing up. It wasn't until I hit maybe 30 and I understand what he was going through, what he went through, Jim Crow South, almost being lynched at 15, that I humanized him. And then I started to create the relationship I wanted with him when I was 30, when I was in position to do it. Right. And so I wonder how often we make decisions based on lack or trauma. And, what examples are we setting for our children? Are they looking at our strengths or our weaknesses as they make decisions going forward? Right. I was just listening to a video about poor people versus middle class people versus rich people. And, for blacks, we always think a good education is going to get you where you need to go. Right. But you look at someone like George Bush Jr., he became the president as a C student because he had rich people habits or middle class habits. Right. And so you want to have marital habits that your kids look at and say, you know what, I want to be just like my parents.
Yeah.
Or I don't. But the problem is, in my opinion, when they want to be like you, they're not finding sun-kissed out there. Right. They're not finding a woman like that who will grow up with a man who will, she had to grow up too, right? And love through certain things. Following your, what'd you say?
I said she was grown when I met her. She was 12, but she was grown when she ain't changed since then. But
but like the things that, like, for a woman, man, shout out to Sunkissed, to follow your idea of moving all the in-laws and the kids and the grandkids into a house. You know what I'm saying? That's not a normal thing in our community. We watch other communities execute it with precision, right? Yeah. And for her to come along, whether she agreed or not, to fall into your headship or your leadership, right? And for you to take that risk for it not to work, because it could have went horribly bad. You know what I'm saying? Right. And a lot of times in our communities, and I'm just gonna keep it a buck, is we are a matriarchal community. Our mothers and our grand, like, when I go to my mama's house, my daddy lived there. My daddy been there since they got married in 68. But where we going? To grandma's house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We know what our community is about, mom and mothers. And mothers do a lot. And mothers are the backbone of our communities. We've had these conversations. And so a lot of times they have not seen examples that they can follow, leadership that they can follow. And I can just imagine meeting you at 16 and then you saying, look, I'm a leader, and then doing all the dumb shit you was doing as a young man that we do as we grow. And she had a front row seat to it. And to be able to steal work through that herself, right? And then allow you to be the leader that you are, even though she knew you when you weren't so good at it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So shout out to Sunkissed again.
Yeah, man, she needs an award for all that, because I would not have wanted. Yeah, I would not have wanted to trade places with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. Man, I appreciate you joining me on here, man.
And we'll go all night. I'm gonna dip off here too. We'll go another hour.
Yeah, easily.
Talking this mess.
I will ask you this one question that I saw here. Love is what women want. Honor is wait. Love is what us women want. Honor and respect is what our husbands want. What do you think about that? Like, they say that women want love and men want to be respected, or different versions of that. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm agreeing with that version. For me, it's about respect, reverence. I put the honor back on the other side, because I don't want to bring I don't want my actions. So every action that I make, most of the actions that I take, I wonder, how does it look for a married man to be in this space at this time, doing this thing? And if it's outside of, I want to be above reproach, because I travel a lot, man. I'm in all these different places. And when I meet these women out here on the road, first thing I do is talk about my family. And that's not a deterrent. Trust me, it's not a deterrent.
No,
it's not a deterrent. But I keep it out front. And then I have to tell them, yeah, I have a daughter. She'll be 35 next month. And the other one is 27. Mothers are the supercharged that everybody taps into. I agree. And so, because I say that because I have young girls coming after me too, right? But I don't come out with the I'm available energy at all. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if something, but I don't want to bring it dishonor to my home, to my wife. You know what I'm saying? And so all our problems that we deal with, I like them to be internal. You know what I'm saying? Like between us. And so
my fault. Go ahead.
No, I think another thing I would encourage husbands to do, and I don't give wives advice because I ain't never been one. Don't plan on being one. I do have one piece of advice for wives, and they always get on me when I share it. I'll share it real quick. But if you treat a husband like his daughter treats him, everything will be fine. Because my daughters think I'm a superhero, but they don't know all my shit either. You know what I'm saying? But wives, treat your husband like his daughter treats him. So anyway, but the advice that I give to people who've been married for a long time, the kids are grown, and it's my in-laws got divorced at year 42, right? And they probably got divorced mentally 20 years before that, but they played it out. I look at it like, will I be upset about this thing 5 years from now? That was my thing. Like, is this a now thing, or is this is a long-term thing? Does this breach my trust for a long time, or just in this space? And then the second thing I did was I went out and had a beautiful picture made of my wife. You tell my age, I said I had a picture made. And then I'm gonna hang on the wall. And I want that picture to hang on the wall 50 years from now, 100 years from now, when I'm not here. And I want the people in our family to look at that picture and say, that's Grandpa Troy and Grandma Tamara. And this is what they did to get us to this place. So now it's about legacy. It's not about feelings. It's about love, but it's about the future. It's about what we leave, the legacy we leave, the instructions we leave. And if we end it now and I get a new Miss Knowles and she get a new Mr. Knowles, it doesn't really work for the legacy.
Right.
So that's what's important to me. 100 years from now is more important than today for me at this point.
Yeah, and I love that, man, because we need something that anchors us to this thing that's bigger than just how we feel about the thing itself.
Yeah.
Right? So there's something more. Like, I love the way that my grandchildren, like right now, they're at that stage where they might see me kiss my wife and they be like, ugh, and I tease my grandsons about, one day you're gonna have a wife, boy. And they're like,
I'm jealous, man.
I love it.
I'm jealous. And our daughters are like, my oldest daughter's like, she don't want no kids. And my youngest daughter, like, I ain't let nobody mess up my body right now. And I like $8 juices. So we waiting on my son. But I would love to have a few grandchildren, man. Love, love, love. I got cousins who are 3 years younger. They got 10, 11, 12 grandkids. And I don't know if that's because, look, I don't have no son-in-laws, no daughter-in-laws either. Now, they ain't got a whole bunch of son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws, right? So we having 10 baby showers every one bridal shower, right? So I still want a son-in-law before I want a grandchild. So I'm gonna stop saying I want a grandchild. I'm gonna say I want a son-in-law. We're gonna keep going in order. You know?
Definitely. You know, I have two things that I like to tell couples, man. One, pick your battles. Everything ain't worth fighting over, you know. And sometimes we can allow some of the most meaningless and petty things to spiral out of control. I used to, and I still kind of have this bad habit, man. I'm terrible with closing cabinets. I get what I'm gonna get out of the cabinet, and there's something in my brain that will not let me close cabinets. Gotcha. And for years, man, my wife used to be like, "Damn it, why can't you just?" She's OCD with it. Like, why the hell are you leaving these cabinets open? And then I started making a concerted effort to focus on closing these cabinets, man. And I would catch myself, I gotta close that. And so I started getting better. And one time I went out, I was leaving for work, and I remember I said, damn, did I close that cabinet? I got out of the car, ran back in the house, got it, right? And so time had went on about 6 months or so, maybe a year. I don't know how much time passed, but I went back to it and I was like, yo, you know, all these years you've been complaining about these cabinets. Now all of a sudden, you know, I'm a whole lot better at closing these cabinets. And ain't no attaboy, ain't no, man, baby, you did a good job. Thank you for being more attentive. You know, why is it that you can say something about all of that, but you don't have nothing good to say about, you know, she said, baby, I still close the cabinets behind you all the time. And I'm like, well, damn. She said, I just figured that it's easier for me to just close the cabinet rather than for me to remain frustrated about you not closing the cabinet.
Look, man, I have the same story, but similar. My wife, when she told me to take her car, that meant it was on E. And I would get offended, pissed. I would talk about how undisciplined, unstructured, and how selfish that was. And then one day I said, you know what? I'm the only one who being bothered by this.
Yeah.
That's me. So I told her, this was in like 94 or 5. I said, listen, that car get on quarter tank, give it to me. I'm going to go fill it up. So I empowered myself. You know what I'm saying? And so now, even to this day, I'll go get in her car and put gas in it. And because I was offended, but you know, that was my problem. You know what I'm saying? That was my problem. That was my value system. And that's when, you know, I'll tell young couples, like, I grew up in the restaurant business. Dirty dishes in the sink and got you a free whooping, and you couldn't put pots in the refrigerator with food in them.
Right.
Well, and her family, they put pots straight in the refrigerator. And so we were sitting here arguing over how we were both brought up. She was like, I don't see a problem with it. I'm like, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? And so we had to figure out. So when she started putting dishes in the sink, I mean, in the refrigerator, rather than fussing, I'll put the food up tonight, you know, and it became part of our routine, man. Cause a lot of things is ego just getting in the way. We could work through some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? We could work through it.
Dirty dishes are not irreconcilable differences.
Right.
Right.
You know, but what I will say is I know that my wife still to this day, when she walks in the house, she goes to the kitchen first and looks. She used to do that with the kids. Right. Yeah. And she would get mad because if the kids didn't wash the dishes, I would just go in there and wash them because I didn't want to hear her mouth. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And she would get mad at me because I wasn't making them do it. But now that we live alone, I just wash the dishes. You know what I'm saying? It's easier than explaining why I didn't do it because I know that she likes that. Now, you know, there's certain things she does that when I get home, you know, and it's not the same because I don't really care. I'm ex-military, man. As long as my bed is dry, you know what I'm saying? I'm good, you know? Yeah. And so I just like to be touched when I get home, and not even sexually anymore. I like to be, I like to feel like I was missed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that might be a warm bath. That might be a candle. This, I come home and it's laid out. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. Now, there's times when I come home at, my flight gets in at 11 or 12. I get home at 1 o'clock. I don't expect anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, she said, what is it about a mama in her kitchen? Shoot, my mama, my mother had a catering business and a restaurant. So, we had to do kitchen things. You know what I'm saying? For real. I know my way around the kitchen. And so anyway, man, but like I said, we'll keep going, man. I'm gonna let you get up on out here, man. I appreciate you having me on, even though I asked to be on. But you know what? They say the chosen often choose themselves, and the closed mouth don't get fed.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining me, man. It's always, like I said, it's always good when we can get together and chop it up, man. So thank you for stopping by, man. Thank you for even raising your hand to come on. So
now, where do you live?
I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
How far is that from Atlanta?
About 3.5 hours.
Okay, we still gonna have to figure that out.
You coming through?
No, whenever I get out that way, I'm gonna let you know, and then we're gonna figure it out. Because when we back outside, I'm not coming to areas and not visiting people that I've connected with on levels, here online. For those who don't know, me and you met in a married man group. I left all my sports groups, and the only groups I'm in now are people who are like me. I'm not in the. I used to be in a lot of these joke groups, but they become singles clubs, and I'm trying to stay. Not trying. I stay above reproach, so I don't have a passcode or log out of my Facebook. So whatever I'm doing on Facebook is public domain in my house.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? My phone is unlocked, so my inbox is
locks, but my phone locks, but my wife knows the passcode.
Well, that's what I mean. We got the passcode. Shoot, my other homie put his wife thumbprint in his phone. We don't do all that. You know what I'm saying? But she can pick it up and go in there and order something on Amazon or whatever she got to do.
Yeah.
But me and you met in a married man group. And the thing about that is it let us be husbands, and we could talk about things that husbands have in common that we'll talk about when women aren't around, that may be misconstrued as something as disrespectful, but we're just, having a good time. But then we also hold each other accountable. And you're one of the main ones about, keeping marriages in a way that other people will look and say, I want to be like Vaughn. I want to be like OG. I want to be like Gabe. I want to be like these guys that we've met in this group. And me and some of the guys in that group, we went to Mexico last year. Now, let me tell you something. The wives weren't happy about that. They were not happy. Why can't we go to the all husbands trip? Right. But we went and we bonded and we had a great time and we behaved and acted like husbands. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? The whole time.
I'm going next time.
Hey, shoot. Come on, son, kids. Let them roll with us. We doing husband training. We need him to tell us what to do.
I'm still kind of scared to fly, but definitely anything inside the continental United States where I can drive to it, I'm there.
No, we're going out the country. And number two, I flew 38 times during the pandemic. It was the best time to fly. No one was on the plane. Everybody was scared. And they filter that air a certain kind of way. And look, man, I hate flying now because there ain't no seats available. It's all, if there are 150 seats, they got 151 people on the plane.
I'm gonna have to get over my concerns about flying. It ain't got nothing to do with COVID though, but that's another conversation.
Okay.
But yeah, I will share this one last thought, and because I know we will keep going, but I want to share this one last thought about what it takes to experience longevity and harmonious longevity, because that's the key. A lot of couples are married 20 years, 30 years, and they can't stand each other, right?
Yeah, because it's need based. They need each other.
Yeah, and we don't want that. So I want my wife to be here because she likes me.
Yeah,
and equally important, I want to like her too, right? So what I say is, Les Brown had this quote. He said, "Life is like a fight for territory, and in the moment you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want automatically begins to take over." And I like that, to interchange that life with the word marriage. And I say your marriage is like a fight for territory. And in the moment you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want automatically begins to take over. And so no matter how long you've been married, you can never afford to put your marriage on autopilot.
Right.
It's never just smooth sailing from here on out and it's going to be all right regardless. No, you have to pay attention to the different things that it took to get you to the point that you're at. So you got to keep fighting for what you want. That means if you want more excitement in your bedroom, or if you want more fun, laughter, even outside of the bedroom, going on dates, whatever it takes to kind of keep that thing lit, man, you got to be purposeful about doing it, because in the moment you put your marriage on autopilot, you're going in reverse.
Yeah, man. And there's more risk now than it's ever been. Statistics say, like the number one, like I said, the number one group is over 50. That's us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you put it on autopilot, it's going to go off course.
Yeah.
1%. Yeah. If it go off course, 1%, over time, that might end up to be 10 or 15 or 20%.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well,
man, OG, I'm gonna let you slide out of here, brother. I sure appreciate you, man. Again, man, if there's any parting words you want to tell the family how they can connect with you, or follow you, or solicit your services.
Tell that brother, I think his name was Daniel Jones. Put us in a message, but they can find me listening to your show. What I'm saying?
I'm gonna definitely connect with him I don't know if he's still on here or not, but I'm gonna reach out to him and let him know. Matter of fact, I do a messenger group with 3 of us, and we can chop it up.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right, brother. Enjoy your night, man. Be well.
All right, you do the same.
Peace. Man, that was all right. That brother, it's always good when the brother OG comes through and graces us with his wisdom. Man, that brother is very insightful, wise beyond his years, as far as I'm concerned. So I always appreciate it. Let me drop this little this sponsorship in here, family. This show was brought to you in part by the Conditions of Love, the Heart Work book. Let me get that banner out the way. 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship. This is a book that my wife and I wrote together, and it's for the purpose of helping couples maintain, basically like marriage counseling or relationship counseling in the binder, and you can get that book at www.theconditionsoflove.com. www.theconditionsoflove.com. Like I said, this is 30 plus years of relationship and marital harmony in a binder, basically. And my wife and I put that together for your pleasure. And I call it The Conditions of Love on purpose. And that's because love is indeed conditional. That's my word. Love is indeed conditional. If you're looking for unconditional love, my puppy, Mia, she's a Doberman. She'll be having puppies here in the fall, and you can get as much unconditional love as you want in one of these Doberman puppies. Outside of that, if you want something real, something sustainable, something more tangible, you're going to have to learn the conditions that it takes to maintain what it is that you want in your relationship. And that is the conditions of love. Let's see, what else? Also, if you like my perspective, if you appreciate my perspective at all, and you would like to solicit my services, you can email me at info@theconditionsoflove.com. Let me type that in here. info@theconditionsoflove.com. Email me at info@theconditionsoflove.com. And what I do is I help married and unmarried couples to find their own unique path toward harmony. Every relationship is different, just like a fingerprint, right? Every relationship has its own unique signature. And I look forward to, and I enjoy actually helping couples find their own unique path. And it's sorely needed, in my opinion. We need that. So if you or somebody who needs that or could benefit from that service, don't hesitate. I'm here for it. And last but not least, my Cash App. If you want to show some love to the Love Alchemical Ministries, $ Love Alchemist 11. $ Love Alchemist 11. You can show your love. You can show some support by sending me Cash App, sending us Cash App, and all donations are appreciated, big and small. And with that, man, I really appreciate y'all. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and for that, I'm eternally thankful. Love y'all. Peace, family.